In this part 2 of SUPboarder's video race series with Naish N1SCO Champion Ben Fisher, we're going to be going over buoy turns, backside and front side. Depending on the racing you're doing, sooner or later you're likely to be required to do some buoy turns. A good turn can make a huge difference to the overall result and your podium finish. Fast and smooth buoy turns take a lot of practice, but they're well worth it. It's really important, if you can, to practice on the board you're going to be using during the race, as the buoyancy on the board is distributed differently in different boards, and therefore your position as a rider will vary when riding different boards. The trick is to step back and lift the nose of the board up. This allows the board to pivot around the reduced water line of the board and the fin, which usually assists you when going in a straight line, being situated at the back of the board. In a race situation, it's likely there will be other paddlers around you. However, you should aim, if possible, to always start the turn early, even by approaching the buoy as little as 10 degrees. This means there's less angle to actually go around the buoy, making the main part of the turn faster. When coming around the buoy, you want to make sure you're as close to the buoy as you can get, ideally rubbing against it. If you're coming in wide, you'll end up paddling further, taking longer and leaving more space inside between you and the buoy for other paddlers to pass you. So on the approach, approximately 2 board lengths out, start to shuffle your feet back. Timing your shuffle with your paddle strokes will help you keep more stable. By now you should be heading just off the side of the buoy. Once you get to the buoy, put a wide stroke on the opposite side of the buoy. If this is not possible due to another rider being in the way, put a draw stroke in on the buoy side to bring yourself around. There is a critical position here where you want to be on the board. Too far forward and the board will turn like a dog, causing you to turn slower and wider. Too far back and you'll be more unstable and more likely to fall in and lose precious time. There are definitely other factors that will play into this tricky manoeuvre: wind, tide, swell, other riders and the angle of which you approach the turn. For example, if you carry out a big turn over 90 degrees, you'll want to be stepping back a fairly long way on the board, ideally as far back as possible while maintaining your stability. But for less than 90 degrees you may get away with stepping 1 foot back and a couple of wider paddle strokes on the opposite side of the buoy. Once around the buoy, you should be looking to move your feet forward again and doing an explosive sprint to exit the turn. This will make drafting harder to maintain for the paddler behind you. Just as with the approach to the buoy, timing your paddle stroke when moving forward will also help stabilise you. Having your paddle in the water is the best way to stabilise yourself if you're having a bit of a wobble. Just think fast and tight. You'll need to be proficient in both front side and backside buoy turns when SUP racing, and the only way to master both is by practicing stepping back and turning the board with long paddle strokes on both front and back sides. One side will naturally feel easier, normally the front side turn, but it is essential to practice both sides. Make sure you're wearing suitable clothing and a leash, as you are likely to be going in more than once or twice, especially if you're pushing yourself to find that sweet spot on the board. You will find out that practicing buoy turns is one thing, but actually performing them well under pressure with other paddlers in a race is a real challenge. When there are lots of paddlers approaching the buoy, there might be other tactical decisions to be made too, such as which is the best way to approach the buoy, inside and outside of them. The chances are you're not going to get it right every time, but front and backside buoy turns are well worth practicing before you get into the race course. Just remember, keep thinking fast and tight.